Hiya! Happy March 5th. Let's see what the topic of the day is. Okay. Weirdly, extremely related to yesterday's. Like if I had sequenced these, this would have been the next one I would have talked about. Oh, I didn't show you. Dude. Positive reinforcement training. So this is a dog training methodology, and I'm sure there's like controversy over like definitions and whatever, but essentially it's the idea that rather than training a dog primarily through or it's, I don't know, there's some people who say that you should never correct a dog or tell them no or use any kind of aversive signal at all. And then there are other camps of positive reinforcement training that are more just focused on like using positive reinforcement as the primary methodology for training your dog, which basically means just like when they do something that you like, you reward them. And there's like a ton of really awesome YouTube channels all teaching you how to train your dog, from like basic puppy training, like walking on a loose leash and sit and lay down and leave it, and all those kinds of things, to like really fun, cool tricks. And like there are a ton of channels that use positive reinforcement training. Ones that I watched a lot were Kiko Pup and Zach George. I think Zach George is like one of the most popular dog training YouTube channels. And there's also like Reddit groups talking about it. And for some reason, I've always been really into dog training. Like long before I got a dog, I was really motivated to get a dog because I thought that the training process would be so fun and so rewarding. In hindsight, I think that a subconscious part of me really liked the idea of being able to like shape and control something just entirely through understanding incentives and rewards. I think that was just like really satisfying to think about. And it really appealed to the sort of like analytical part of my brain where like if you understand the inputs and the incentives and you can like, you know, capture a behavior that you like and then reward it, you're just gradually over time going to shape the perfect dog. And the main reason I wanted to talk about this is because all of that sounds great, and it sounded great to me, and I felt so prepared for getting my dog. And ultimately, I think that this whole like training ideology really interacted with my personality in a way that ultimately was quite negative and really negatively affected my connection with my dog and how I approached raising him and training him. Now I get comments from friends, family, strangers all the time about how well trained my dog is, and he definitely listens very well, which maybe I'll take partial credit for. He's a border collie mix, so they are very biddable, and he is extremely alert and very, very much wants to do the right thing and always wants to know like what he's supposed to be doing. So definitely the training worked in the sense that like if I tell him to sit, he sits. If I tell him to lay down, he lays down. If I tell him to come, he comes, etc. he also has very, very good like self-control. Like this dog is obsessed with fetch. Um, but I we worked a lot on like just impulse control where I would throw something and let him start running for it and then have him stop and then come to me and then go get it. That I'm particularly proud of because that's tough for a very, very fetch motivated dog. And in that case, the reward is that once he comes to me, I say free and he gets to go run and get the thing that he wants. Um, but anyway, so like a lot of good came from the type of training that I did for sure. But I think what I was missing was the really important fact that dogs are not robots that you just program by giving them certain like combinations of rewards at the right times. They are living, breathing biological organisms that have needs that come from their biology. And obvious, like that sounds so obvious. I know that sounds so obvious, but like I don't know, there was probably like the training circles that I was engaged with really approached everything as something that you can train, everything as a behavior that you can shape. Um, like one of the things that people would talk about is like training your dog where to use the bathroom. Obviously like outside, but like this, if there's like a specific part in the yard that they wanted them to go or whatever. Um, and I was like, oh, cool. Like that would be really convenient for me because I live in a townhouse with basically no yard. And, you know, if it's like raining or freezing or whatever, it would be really nice if I trained my dog to be able to just pee and poop like right outside my back door in the teeny, teeny, tiny little like yard that I have, yard, rather than having to take him for like a 10-15 minute walk anytime he needs to go to the bathroom. And I tried all the like I was really determined to do this and I used all the tips where like I started to associate words with anytime he would naturally pee, I would say like, oh, go potty. And anytime he would naturally poop, I would say, oh, go poop, to the point where like he definitely learned that when I say go poop, he's like, oh, right, I have to go poop. But for whatever reason, just, because he is a living being with a personality and with preferences, he he will not go to the bathroom in his like, I don't know, he wants to be like as far off of the beaten track as he can possibly get before he goes to the bathroom. And uh so like I would be I'm very stubborn and I was like determined to wait him out. And so I would take him to the backyard when I knew he needed to go to the bathroom and would just like wait for him to decide, okay, yeah, like this piece of grass is just as fine to use as any other piece of grass. Um, and he would get like distressed and I feel bad about this now that I didn't just accept that this is not going to work for him and for us. And is it actually that bad to have to go for a walk 2 times a day? Spoiler alert, it's actually one of my favorite things about having a dog is being forced to do our little circle around the neighborhood twice a day, rain or shine, no matter the temperature. And like, I think that cumulative moments like that where I was just very clearly not connecting with him, not engaging with him, not paying attention to the feedback, the very clear feedback that he was giving me, and instead just going off of this assumption that every behavior can be shaped if you just, you know, if you just do the right things, if you just, pull the right levers. Um, and, same thing for like crate training for, uh, oh my gosh, I remember this is actually ridiculous. This kind of tells you how, I guess, where my brain was at. I love cuddles and I really wanted my dog to want to cuddle with me. Um, so I would sometimes like lure him into my lap and like give him treats while he was like sitting in my lap, or if he would naturally come snuggle with me, I would give him treats, which like obviously that's not a horrible thing to do, but it's like as 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 mammals, as biological beings, there are a lot of things that we find naturally rewarding that, aren't necessarily food. Um, and physical touch is one of those things. And, animals obviously find that rewarding too. So, and like praise and just like emotional connection. I don't think I really emotionally connected to my dog for like probably the first few months that I had him, because I was just so like in my own head focused on like, okay, what's the correct way to respond in this situation so that he will respond the way that I want him to long term, so that he will like learn the behavior that I want, or so that he will not do the behavior that I don't want. And it's I feel like it's more of like a vibe or like an energy or just an overall approach that really uh like underpinned all of my interactions with him during our early time together. And um yeah, I'm sure it affected him. I'm sure that he I don't think that it was good for us. Um and yeah, I think that naturally my personality is one that likes to have control, that likes things to be very like rule based and um like not uncertain and not context dependent, I guess. I want there to be rules. I want there to be like if thens. And when you're dealing with living things, which like are inherently relational, like any relationship with another animal or another person, like it's relational, and anything that's relational doesn't have rules in the way that I would naturally want it to have rules. Um, so just that kind of base element of like love and connection and attunement and like mutual understanding, to the extent that you can have mutual understanding with an animal, which I think is actually quite a lot. Um, I think I was just missing all of that. And I definitely think that the positive reinforcement training ideology allowed me or encouraged me um, to approach him and approach his training more like programming a robot than like raising a baby mammal. Um, so yeah, I think that is basically everything I have to say about that for today. I hope everyone has a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.